So my name is Jessica. I'm from the travel unit. We will go ahead and start with the travel services website. So on this DSS source page, we have the travel services website right here on the left-hand side. And this is where you're going to find a lot of rules, regulations, forms, certain items that might pertain to travel. CalLaters can be found through two different ways. You can click here on CalLaters, and it's going to take you to the CalLaters Global main webpage. And again, this is a state controller's program, so it's going to go to the state controller's office webpage. Or on the home page of DSS Source, you can go ahead and click on this little icon down here for CalLaters Global. And again, it's going to take you to the state controller's office. So here, there's instructions on how to get started. So new user registration, you will go ahead and click that link. If you have travel advance and expense reimbursement, or you want their instructions, you can go ahead and look at their PDFs that they have provided to you. So to get signed in, first if you're a new employee, you need to call the travel unit help desk, and we will go ahead and take down your first name, your middle initial, last name, your social security number, your employee ID number, your index number, and your email. We're going to gather all that information, and then we will go ahead and upload that into a database, and we send that over to State Controller's office. They are going to add you to CalLaters, and at that point, we will get confirmation, and then you're going to get an email from us saying that you've been added. Until that's done, you will not be able to access CalLaters. I encourage you to do that if you have not yet done that. Once that is completed, you're going to click on CalLaters Global. The Java will pop up once in a while, so you're going to just hit open. You can say allow. And then if this pops up, you'll just hit run. Sometimes it'll ask if you want to install it. If it asks you that question, just hit later. So if you're a new user, you're going to click on this new user registration link. And then you're going to input your employee number. This first time is always going to be your social security number. So even though it says employee number, it's going to be social security number and last name. And then once you do that, you're going to hit OK. And then it's going to pop up your profile, and you're going to have to fill out your profile. So I'm already a user, so I can't do it, but I'll log into mine and show you my profile. Okay, so the profile, once you hit the new user registration, it's going to pop up this screen here. And then you're going to have to input your email address. So your email address is where your password is going to be sent to. Or if you forget your password and you go to the request a new password. So you want to make sure that this information is correct. You'll put in your email. You'll hit next. You'll type in your phone number. You're going to put in your bargaining unit. So you will, whatever bargaining unit, you'll just drop down and select whatever one you're in. And then this here is grayed out. So this is just if you're on direct deposit. If you are, it's going to have a Y. If you're not, then it's going to have an N. If you are on direct deposit, all reimbursements are going to be automatically deposited into your bank account. If you're not on direct deposit, you're going to get a check from the state. You're going to have your mailing address. So this will be, most of the time it's your home address. If you have a P.O. box, you'll want to put the P.O. box address in. And then if it says, is this your residence address, you're going to say no. And then you're going to say no to this question. And then you're going to put in your residence address here. The travel unit needs your resident address to audit your mileage. So make sure that if you are a P.O. box that you do give us that information. If you're not, then you're just going to hit yes, and then it's going to have the information here for you. You're going to add an approver here. So your first time it's going to say add approver. Mine says change default approver because I already have an approver in there. So you're going to click add approver. You're going to type in the last name that you're looking for. And then you're going to select the person that you would like. So I want to have mine as Eric Lau. So I'm going to say OK. And then it's going to populate his name into the approver field. And then obviously if you want to change your approver, then you're going to go ahead and select change default approver. I'm going to change mine back. And then you're going to put in your work address where you work. This is also how mileage is determined. Like I said earlier, a lot of times if you start from home, you're going to get reimbursed in excess of your normal commute. We will check where you live to where you work, and we will deduct that from your mileage if you haven't done so. when claiming that. And we do use the addresses very frequently when auditing claims. And I also want to add, if you move or change work locations or anything, you have to go back in here and update this. It doesn't update it automatically. If you change the information in MyCDSS, it's not going to change it in CalAtors. So you will need to go back into your CalAtors profile and change it. This year's our coding information. So it's just the fiscal year that the expenses are being charged to, your index number, and your PCA code, which are, it's how it's budgeted. So you're budgeted for a certain amount of travel. This is how we know that it's being charged to the correct program. And this is asking if you're on long-term assignment. Most of the people are not, so you're just going to select no. You're going to hit next, and then you're going to hit done, and then it's going to go ahead and email your password to you at that point if this is your first time. And then once it emails you your temporary password, you're going to go ahead, log in. You're going to type in your employee number, so it's going to be CDSS and then a 5-digit number. And then it's going to be your temporary password. Once you hit OK, it's going to say, do you want to change your password? You're going to say yes. You're going to create a new password. And then once you create your new password, you're going to have to log in again with your new password. Once you've logged in, it's going to take you to this screen here. And this is CalAtors. So to get to your profile, if you need to change it, you can either click Profile here, or you can go to Edit Profile, your preference. So now we're going to go ahead and move on to the expense reimbursement. So we're going to click on New. And then we're going to do form type, expense reimbursement form. Claim type, it's either going to be in-state travel, out-of-state travel, or non-travel if it's just for mileage or parking or bridge tolls or anything that doesn't have lodging or per diem would be a non-travel expense. We're going to do the lodging and per diem, so I'm just going to do in-state travel. And then there's regular travel. If you choose in-state regular travel, it has to be over 50 miles. This is where you'll get your lodging and per diem. If it's under 50 miles, then you're going to do non-travel expenses. Just make sure that you know the difference between the two. If you did regular travel, it's going to ask you a 50-mile question, and if you say no, then the entire claim is going to end up getting taxed. So make sure that you choose the right form when doing that. So we're going to do regular travel, and we're going to hit OK. And again, it's going to ask for our report name. So again, you're going to want to start with your index number. If you don't start with your index number, us in the travel unit have to pull all the claims and add the index number, and then you're going to get an email saying that your form has been adjusted. So please make sure that you add the index number before anything on your claim, on the report name. So it should always be your index number first, your travel period, and trip destination. So again, I'm going to put my index number, my travel period. So this is going to be prior. So I'm going to do January 9th through 11th. And then I'm going to say I went to Los Angeles. And then, so we have our report name, index number, the trip period, and then the trip destination. And then this is where the 50-mile question comes in. And it says, was this trip greater to or equal to 50 miles from home/headquarters? We're going to say yes, because we're going to LA. And then it's going to ask the trip date, which was January 9th through the 11th. Our trip start time, this is a 24-hour time. So we're going to say we started at 6 a.m. and we ended at 6 p.m. Our trip location was Los Angeles, and our trip purpose was travel training. Again, if you could be specific, just don't say training. We need to know if it was what kind of training it was. If it was, if you're LPA, you can put field visit. So just be as specific as possible. If it was for whatever reason, just put that information for us to know. So the more information, the less we have to contact you. If we end up having to contact you, it holds up your claim process, it delays everything, and we just want to make sure that your claim doesn't get returned and that you can get it processed as soon as possible. So we're going to click OK. We're going to leave this general tab the way it is. This is pertaining to your specialized account coding, that link that I talked to you about for prior years. We don't want to change anything, so we're just going to leave it as is. We're going to hit next, and then it's going to go to the expense tab, and this is where you're going to include all your expenses. So we're going to go ahead and start with our airfare. So it's under transportation. Airfare commercial, and we are going to go ahead and put in the amount that was paid by the department. We encourage you to use the Wanna Get Away with Southwest. That's who we're contracted with. It's the cheapest airfare. If you are a frequent traveler or if you know your trip is not going to get canceled, we encourage you to do the Wanna Get Away. If your trip does end up getting canceled, then it will just save the reservation for a year. And then you can go ahead and reuse that reservation at a different time up to a year after you book the reservation. And if you need to change, so say you go to a trip and you are in a meeting and you have your airfare, you think your meeting's going to go to 5, so you have a flight out at 7:30 p.m. and your meeting ends at 1:30. And you're like, oh man, I don't want to wait. You can go to the airport and get a change. And Southwest, all they're going to do is charge the department the difference between the Wanna Get Away fare and the anytime fare at that time. So if the Wanna Get Away is $100 and the new anytime fare is $250, then they're just going to charge the department the $150 difference. You're entitled to fly with the anytime fare. There's not going to be a question with that, but we just try to save the state as much money as possible. So if you can do the Wanna Get Away, we encourage that. So we're going to go ahead and say that our flight was $250. We're going to say that it was department paid. Corporate card is not the same as department paid. Corporate card is the state credit card, so it's equivalent to cash. So cash and corporate card, you're going to get reimbursed. Department paid will not show up as a reimbursement item to you. So make sure with airfare and rental car or the train or Amtrak that you select department paid. Contracted provider is Southwest. You're going to put your ticket number, and then we're going to hit enter. And then we're going to move on to our lodging. So we went to LA, so we're going to choose the room rate. We got $120 a night. We did $15 in taxes. Please make sure that's separated. Don't put $135 up here and $0 down here. Your hotel receipt is itemized, and so please make sure those are separated. You're going to select the county that you stayed in, which is Los Angeles County. Payment type is going to be cash, and your hotel is going to be the Hilton. So we're going to go ahead and enter that. This is saying that it's in a high-cost county and that your approver should verify that you are entitled to getting reimbursed at the $120 rate. So just say OK. And then we stayed there 2 nights. The second night's the exact same. So I'm just going to drag it over, and then it's going to just click that next one. So now we're going to do meals. Oh, I want to add on lodging. Airbnb is not considered a third-party site. Third-party sites are Expedia.com, hotels, and Hotel.com, and Travelocity, and all those are third-party. So you are not entitled to use third-party. Please do not use third-party sites. I kind of touched on this earlier. You need to use Concur. If it's cheaper for a third-party, please call Concur, talk to them. They can maybe get the rate down, or they're the ones that have the contracts with the hotels. So it's mandated by the state to use Concur, so you must use Concur. Airbnb is allowed, and I was going to actually talk about that right now. This is lodging. Please use that for commercial hotels. If you stay at Airbnb, you're going to use lodging short-term rental. If you select lodging short-term rental and you stay at a commercial hotel, your claim is going to get returned to you, and it's going to tell you to change it to this regular lodging. So lodging short-term rental is only for Airbnb. With Airbnb, you're entitled to reimbursement up to the state rate, including the cleaning fee and all of that. So the state rate, say you go to Sacramento and you are traveling, or wherever, Sacramento is $95. Your Airbnb is $75 for the night, and your cleaning fee is broken down to $10 a night. That's $85. That's under the state rate for Sacramento, so you can get reimbursed for that. If you're lodging at Airbnb and it's $90 a night and your cleaning fee is $10 a night, you're only going to get reimbursed the $95 a night. The taxes on top of that are a separate line item. Airbnb is a little bit different. So we encourage you to do whatever's in the best interest of the state. When you are booking anything, just please keep that in mind, that if it's in the best interest of the state, then that's what is incurred. But I do want to make sure that you don't choose the wrong expense category. So there are 2 different lodgings here. This one's for commercial that just says lodging. If it's short-term rental, that's only for Airbnb. So we're going to move to the next expense item. So we're going to go ahead and do our meals. So we're going to claim breakfast. So again, if you look at your trifold pocket guide, it's going to show you the meal expense amount, and then it's going to show you the time frames that you can claim those meals. So I said that my trip started at 6 a.m. So I can get breakfast for the first day. So I'm going to go ahead and claim my breakfast. And then I can get it for the following 2 days as well, because my trip ended at 6 p.m. So I'm going to go ahead and do lunch. And again, I can do it for the following 2 days because it ended at 6 p.m. And then I'm going to do dinner. And I can only do it for the 1 day after. If I try to drag it to the 3rd day, it's going to say that the trip ended before 7 p.m. and it's going to have a justification. There is no justification, it's going to be deleted. So just, you can't claim it if it ends before 7. If you put it over there and it's going to red flag it to us, and then we're just going to end up deleting it. If it's before 7 p.m., you cannot claim dinner on the last day. If your trip starts after 6 a.m., you can't claim breakfast on the first day. Another thing about breakfast is that if the hotel provides a complimentary hot breakfast, you cannot get reimbursed for breakfast at the hotel. Complimentary hot breakfast would be eggs, bacon, waffles, pancakes, whatever. Continental breakfast would be muffins, danishes, fruit, that kind of stuff. Like, you can be reimbursed for that. But if they offer a full breakfast, then you're not going to be able to get reimbursed. And if you have a dietary restriction, then you're just going to go ahead and enter in the notes section. And you're just going to type in dietary restriction. And then you're going to hit OK. And then we will go ahead, we check if it says yes, that there is a hot breakfast. We're going to go to your notes and we're going to say, oh, they have a dietary restriction. Your approver is approving this at the end, so if they're saying it's fine, then we're going to say it's fine as well. Then we're going to go ahead and go to mileage. So mileage you can claim to the airport, so personal auto mileage. With mileage, it's a little bit tricky. It's not black and white, it's very gray. If you are leaving your house to go to the airport and it's in greater distance than your work, you can get full mileage if it is an hour before or an hour after your normal work hours. If you leave, so say I work from 8 to 5, if I leave at 8 a.m., then I can only claim mileage from my work to the airport because my work is closer to the airport. I live 35, 40 miles from the airport. From here to the airport, it's 12 miles. If I leave, so my trip says it started at 6 a.m. and my normal work hour is 8 a.m., then I can claim the 40 miles from my home to the airport, and you will get reimbursed for that. Also, you can get round trip mileage if you get dropped off. So say my husband takes me to the airport and drops me off, he can get 80 miles for round trip because he dropped me off and took me back, and then had to drive back home. For me, it doesn't seem very cost effective because I live so far from the airport, but essentially it would be to save on the purpose. So I'm going to go ahead and say that I left from my house and I drove 40 miles, and I'm going to put in my license plate number. I'm going to say my origin was home and my destination was the airport. I'm going to hit enter, and it's going to calculate the mileage for me. My trip ended at 6 p.m. Again, that's an hour after my normal work shift, so I can go ahead and claim that 40 miles. And then we're going to go ahead and hit enter. And so that is the mileage to the airport. So I'm going to do the parking to the airport for the airport. Again, you have to park in the least expensive lot. So we are going to choose a $10 a day lot. we're going to hit enter. And then we're just going to draw it across those 2 other days. Yeah, so we only need receipts if the parking's over $10. Right. The parking at the airport we need a receipt for. So the receipt's going to say $30. So it's continuous parking, and that's why we need a receipt. So anytime you leave your car overnight, we need a receipt for that. But if it's under $10, we don't need a receipt.